in mental health, a registered mental health nurse, senior lecturer, blah, blah, blah. And I've been asked to come and talk to you today about compassion, mindfulness and leadership. That's what we're going to address today. And then we're going to have a break, finish off lunch, and then this afternoon we're going to talk about how you can speak publicly and how that's going to help you with your assignment and presentation. Okay. We may double the times a little bit because this shouldn't take, I think, down to 3.5 hours, 3 hours for this. I don't think it'll take that long. So what we could do is bring the afternoon session forward a little bit if you wanted to.
Yeah. Will be
like
great.
Will be. So, we shall start by looking this morning at compassion, mindfulness and leadership. And these are all qualities and skills that you are going to need if you are going to be a nurse and work in the care industry. Just so I can get a sense of you and your knowledge and understanding. Have people worked in care already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of us.
Most of you have. Some people are moving into care for the first time.
Yes.
Maybe not had a lot of experience. You can absolutely fine. So, there we go. So the aim of the session, what we're going to do today, okay? We're going to look at the role and responsibility of the registered nurse. So we're projecting into the future, but these are skills that you are going to need and have to use now if you're working in care and going to work in care. We're going to see how we can deliver good care, what that looks like. We're going to look at how do we make clinical decisions. So your presentation that you've got, what are you being asked to present on?
We've given a scenario and we just have to present it. I mean, there's a lot of issues in the scenario.
Yeah.
You just have to choose an issue and then present it and present it in like an individual perspective or organizational perspective. It's really about leadership.
Right, so you're going to have to demonstrate that you can make decisions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to try and help you look at this morning. So let's start off with a really easy question. What is compassion?
Kindness.
Kindness?
Empathy.
Empathy?
Yeah.
Anything else? So it's a term that's bandied around a lot, isn't it? You know, if we want to be a nurse and we want to work in the care, industry, we have to be compassionate. And you hear it all the time, oh, I'm compassionate. What a lovely compassionate person. Well, what does it mean? So it is about empathy and kindness. Does anyone like to read? Any big readers? There's an author called Maya Angelou. She's an American writer. She passed away a couple of years ago, but she was a black, not a political writer, but she was very much somebody who, challenged thinking and made you think in a different way. She wrote poetry. And she said, it's not what you say to people, it's not what you do with people, it's how you make people feel. And I think that's a really good way of underpinning that idea about what compassion is. There's also another writer called Harper Lee, who wrote a book called To Kill a Mockingbird. And she was a black writer that lived in the deep south of America. There was a lot of racism and prejudice. And the story is about a white lawyer that defends a black man. And this lawyer had 2 small children. And their children are the ones that narrate the story. It's a fantastic book. And the youngest child, called Scout, was describing her father. And she said, you know, he was kind, he was courteous, but he was quite detached from us. And there's a passage in the book that kind of resonates, which is relevant, and I think it's something that's stuck with me throughout my nursing career. It's about this daughter says, to truly understand another man, you must stand in his shoes and walk for a mile. And I think that illustrates really well what compassion is. It is about kindness, it is about empathy, but it's also about you walking a mile in someone else's shoes and trying to understand their experiences, trying to understand what their life is like. And I think nursing is very much about putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. So that's a good way to think about compassion. Before we do that, can we learn compassion? Can we learn to be compassionate? Or is it something that's in us? It's both. Okay? It's alright, I was waiting for you to arrive, I was just filling. So can we learn it?
Yeah.
So your view is we can learn it, but it's also something within us. People generally agree, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Because I think one of the things, do you have placements? No, right, okay. One of the things that you can, when you get to that point, if you want to proceed down that route and you go down a degree route and you'll have clinical placements, when you go out in practice, you will see nurses and you will see them caring for people. And one of the things that, as a student nurse, I met a ward manager, and she was the only female, because I worked in mental health and I'm a lot older than you, was in an age where there wasn't many women in mental health nursing, and she was a ward manager, and she was amazing. You know, she was managing a whole unit, she was up to here, and I remember as a student nurse watching her come down the corridor, and there was a really distressed patient, and she stopped, and I don't know what she said to this patient, but whatever she said, her body language, her whole manner, the patient just changed. And it blew me away, and I thought, I want to be like you. And she taught me a lot about compassion and caring, etc., etc. So, compassion, we can learn it because we can put ourselves in other people's shoes. But one of the things that we need to do is look after ourselves. We need to practice self-compassion because nurses are notorious. We are rubbish at looking after ourselves. Absolutely rubbish. Okay? So if we don't look after ourselves, how can we then look after other people? We need to be kind, we need to practice kindness, but we need to make sure that we get that balance where we are kind, but we don't burn ourselves out trying to please people, trying to do everything for everybody, because we will become exhausted. We need to move and think about wider society, wider people's feelings, because I'm not saying we're all narcissists, but human beings have this, I think, ability to kind of just see where they are and people, how they relate coming to me. Whereas kindness and moving is about maybe that quote by Maya Angelou, put yourself in someone else's shoes. There's times when we need to relax our judgments. So there will be times when we are nursing somebody who perhaps we don't agree with, we disagree with their belief systems. So we need to relax our own judgments. I can give you an example of this. I nursed a young girl who was admitted to a unit I was working on. She'd had a baby 8 weeks previously, and she'd developed a condition called puerperal psychosis, postnatal depression, but she'd become psychotic. She was very, very unwell, really mentally unwell. And she was allowed to go out on leave, and her family said they would supervise her when she was with the baby. And she'd gone out on leave, and unfortunately her mum had gone out, left her with the baby, and she'd smothered the baby, and the baby had died. I mean, it's a tragic, tragic thing to happen. She was brought back to the unit by the police, and some staff were saying, I'm not looking after her, I'm not nursing her, she's killed a baby. And I think one of the things was that they were judging what she'd done and had lost sight of the fact that this girl was really, really poor. She was severely mentally ill. They'd lost that compassion. We will be asked to nurse people we don't like. We will be asked to nurse people who perhaps make choices and decisions that aren't aligned with our own. So as a consequence, what we need to do is put our judgment in a little box over there when we go into work, and we need to be compassionate and caring. What kind of areas of nursing are you thinking of going into?
Dementia nursing home.
Oh, I like you very much. I'm a dementia specialist nurse.
Well.
Anyone else want to tell me what they're thinking of? That's my other area of expertise, yes. Well done. Like you as well.
Geriatrics.
Geriatrics? Yeah. You will in your career have to nurse people that you really don't like, or maybe you disagree with. Okay? But you have to leave your judgment at the door and nurse away. Being compassionate as well is about us healing our own trauma, which sounds very psychobabbly, okay? But if we are carrying trauma that we've experienced ourselves, how can we then care for other people? So what we need to do is heal ourselves and make sure we are as good as we can be and as healthy as we can be. We need to practice something called presence. There are times when you're nursing where you are feeling as if you're spinning 50 plates trying to stop them from falling onto the floor and breaking. Because someone needs some extra medication. There's a fire alarm gone on from the other unit. You've got 4 members of staff that are off sick. I learned a very valuable lesson once from a patient. I was a nurse, only registered nurse on the unit, really busy, really frantic, and she came up to me and she was talking to me, and I was stood